Don't wait for someone to teach you the language. The language is there. Hi, Steve Kaufman here again, and today I want to talk about the most important qualities of a successful language learner. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe, click on the bell for notifications, and if you follow me on a podcast service, please leave a review. So, what makes a successful language learner? Now, there are a lot of, objective considerations: where you live, if you have access to a lot of good content. There are a lot of the language that you speak, how similar is it to a language that you're learning. There are many objective factors, but there are also important subjective factors. And I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about it in terms of my continuing sort of struggles with Arabic and Persian. And I don't spend as much time as I would like. I don't think I did any work on either one of those languages today. But every day, every second day, I do some. And it occurred to me that the important consideration is that I continue doing something. I'm not expecting a sort of dramatic improvement. As long as I'm spending time with the language, I will improve. And, I had a conversation yesterday in Persian after not having done anything with the language for 2 weeks, and I did okay. So I thought to myself, we have to be patient. We have to be confident that as long as we're putting time in with the language, we're listening here, we're reading there, we're doing something, we're getting some kind of an activity score at link. As long as we're doing those things, we are improving. So it's important to be patient and to be confident that every time we're engaging with the language, we are helping to create neural networks in our brain that will improve our ability in the language. If we go through periods of intensive work with the language or significant opportunity to use the language, we'll improve faster. But nevertheless, as long as we're putting time in, we are improving. So we need to have that sense of patience. So I think patience is an important quality. Another way of looking at it is this idea of living in the moment. When you are with the language, when you are listening or reading, just remind yourself that what you're doing is valuable and it's going to improve your ability in the language. If you have content that's of interest to you, so much the better. You can enjoy that time that you're spending with the language. Sometimes we have to do things or engage with content that's less interesting. We're reading it for the second or third time. We're listening for the fifth time. And so maybe it's less enjoyable, but it helps if we recognize that all of this activity, even though we don't sense a dramatic improvement, it is improving us. So patience, living in the moment, these are important characteristics. Another important characteristic is initiative. So, for example, in Romance languages, and in fact in many languages, things like conjugations are difficult. If we're writing in the language, don't just write the first. If it's j'écris, is it with a T, with an S, you can't remember. Don't just write it, look it up. It's so easy nowadays to Google, conjugate the verb prendre in French or hablar in Spanish. Google it, find it, look for it. When I'm reviewing, now I'm not doing Romance languages, but Context Reverso has a wonderful conjugating dictionary. Take the opportunity to look up the conjugation whenever you come across a form of that verb. So these are initiatives you can take. If you feel that you're lacking in certain technical jargon or other terminology or vocabulary items, another thing you can do, which I sometimes do, is I'll write something up in English, use Google Translate to convert it into whatever language I'm learning, and what I wrote in English contained the vocabulary items that I was interested in, and lo and behold, I will now see those in the target language. I can import that into Link and study it. So that's another example of taking the initiative. Don't wait for someone to teach you the language. the language is there. There's so many different ways that you can acquire bits and pieces of information about the language. Speaking of initiative, I recently bought a scanning pen because I have these Arabic textbooks. So I now can scan a line in the textbook, and if I have an app open on my computer, which could be, Google Drive, it could be, or Google Documents, it could be anything, including the import page at link, then that sentence will appear, if it's Arabic or Persian or whatever, French, Spanish, whatever you're studying, that sentence will appear in the text space in the import section of link. So that's just an initiative. Not everyone is going to run out and buy a scanning pen, but it's just a matter of, taking charge of your learning is so important in so many different ways. Choosing the content you're interested in, taking initiatives. So to summarize here again, it's being patient. So to some extent, these things are a bit contradictory. You have to be patient. You have to enjoy the moment, live in the moment. However, you also have to take initiative. You have to take initiative in terms of, okay, today I'm going to study, or I'm interested in this subject, or I'm going to go to Netflix, or I'm going to look up the conjugation table, or I'm going to look up declension tables for Russian nouns. You got to take the initiative. Can't wait for someone to teach you the declension. So I think that those are some of the important characteristics. And finally, another important characteristic, I think, is to accept uncertainty. And I've mentioned this before. You're not going to understand everything. You're going to forget things. Even after a long time, it seems that you don't understand the same bits and pieces that you're listening to, but accept the uncertainty. And so this ties back to the other two characteristics. So if you're a bit confused about the declension or the conjugation, look it up. Accept the uncertainty, be patient. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the time you're spending with the language. So I'd like to leave you with two videos, one that I did a year ago and one that I did 7 years ago. And they talk about, the one 7 years ago talked about learning in the moment, and the one that I did a year ago talked about learning languages in the moment. I haven't looked at them. I didn't look at them in preparation for this video. Perhaps I was of a different opinion a year ago or 7 years ago. At any rate, if you're interested, you can go and have a look. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.